This is a continuation of the project on the Russian economy by Daniel Beegle and Peter Mayer. First, we have a general overlook of the Russian consumers. Despite rising levels of income, many Russians make food purchases based on price and switch brands for better deals, weekly or even daily. Impulse buying is relatively rare, but ice cream is a large part of this impulse buy, as it is seen as a sort of treat. Parents give their kids money for ice cream, known as ice cream money, as opposed to allowance. Eating trends include the increase of women into the workforce has made for an increase in convenient meals and frozen meals, as the prep time becomes very important as women are working, and they are generally the ones who make the food. There's also been a health-conscious trend in the younger consumers who have been checking what's in their food and buying based on health. And there's a high demand for frozen products and a high assortment of frozen products in the cities such as St. Petersburg and Moscow. Retail food outlets are expected to drive demand in urban centers, and that's generally true. We'll come to that later. As you can see, 71.5% are ages 15 to 64, and they have a lower life expectancy, so generally marketing to the young is a good idea. As you can see here, the largest amount of spending by Russian consumers takes place in the food category. As far as branding goes in Russia, consumers tend to concern themselves more with price than actual brand name. This is positive for the domestic companies, as domestic products are perceived to be cheaper and of higher quality. The domestic brands are perceived to use domestic and local ingredients, which are healthier and might contain fewer preservatives. Domestic brand loyalty is a large factor, despite the heavy emphasis on price. Consumers are attracted to domestic products as it fills them with a sense of patriotism to support the Russian economy. In short, domestic brand loyalty will increase as the quality of domestic goods improves. Because Russian citizens often consider domestic products to be the best quality for the pricing of the product is slightly flexible. However, once again, Russian consumers are heavily concerned with price, so any price increase is likely to be noted by consumers and contribute to a switch in brand loyalty. In 2010, the demand for ice cream in Russia increased by 9% compared to 2009, amounting to 392,000 tons. Now, ice cream cups account for a major share in volume. About 55% of the population consumes ice cream, with an average consumption level around 4.8 kilograms per consumer annually. 4.8 kilograms per consumer annually. The Russian food market seems to have rebounded since the economic downturn, and the increase in purchasing power makes expanding retail businesses all that more attractive. At least on the surface, the Russian economy appears fairly stable. As you can see, the consumption of ice cream in Russia is expected to increase over the next few years. The Russian food market was valued at $222 billion in 2009. The share of food in the total retail turnover increased to 48.6% from 45% in 2008. Over the last 5 years, Russia's real GDP growth has averaged between 7 and 8%. The increase in GDP created increases in real disposable income, which led to changes in consumer behavior. With the increase in disposable income, Russian consumers have been able to move their focus away from cheap essentials towards specific brands and luxury food products. As you can see, there is a general upward trend in personal finances in Russia in 2012. Nationally, Russian consumers tend to shop at smaller grocery stores over large chains. However, a large concentration of the food retail market is in the urban centers, such as Moscow and St. Petersburg. And in these urban centers, consumers tend to shop at retail chains and larger grocery stores common to Western economies, with large retail chains accounting for 50% of food retail in Moscow and 80% in St. Petersburg. However, discount retail chains have the highest rate of growth in terms of store openings in 2009 compared to supermarkets, and achieved higher sales growth than hypermarkets. Generally, we have a trend of smaller markets being utilized in the less densely populated areas as they are the most convenient, and larger chain stores being utilized more in the city population centers. Consumers in Russia are sick and tired of strict product-oriented advertising and dislike rough emphasis on product characteristics only. Historically, Russian companies have used these tactics with plain advertising that explains the product. Russian companies tend to spend very little on advertising and marketing. However, that trend is shifting as consumers appreciate more complex and interesting advertisements. As Russian consumers are bored with the older, straighter ways of advertising, new, innovative, and interesting advertisements have gained more appreciation by the Russian consumers. A Russian consumer expects to be entertained and to be involved when they are watching advertisements. They appreciate advertisements that use some sort of eye-catching performance. Advertising campaign series have gained popularity, as well as advertisements showing some sort of nature scene. For a product like ice cream, it would be important to emphasize the flavor elements and to use attractive scenes involving ice cream. To give a general idea of Russia's standing in the world, the Heritage Foundation's 2013 Index of Economic Freedom ranks Russia as the 139th freest economy in the world, with an overall score of 51.1. Putting it at 41 out of 43 countries in the European region. One major inhibitor to Russia's economy is the rule of law, as the legal framework is not fully modernized or uniform across the country, and the judiciary is especially vulnerable to political pressure. Intellectual property rights have very little protection, and infringements are common. Also, bureaucratic obstacles and inconsistent enforcement of regulation create an uneasy situation for any entrepreneur.